Do you remember when hope seemed enough to save a love? It was like being in a driftwood boat amid a storm, believing that just a little more paddling would take you to shore. But over time, you realized that the water was rising and the strokes were becoming increasingly exhausting. The story of Lara and Marcos is a clear example of this. They met at a party where the connection was instant. They laughed together, shared dreams, and even made plans for the future. But as the days went by, small disagreements began to surface. Communication, which once flowed like a river, was now full of rocks and obstacles. Amid silences and unspoken words, the love that once felt so strong began to weaken. Lara struggled to understand the changes. She thought that patience and love were all it took to fix things. She spent nights awake, reflecting on each fight, each misunderstanding. Meanwhile, Marcos became more distant, diving into his own world. He didn't know how to express his discomfort, and what could have been a sincere conversation turned into a cycle of accusations and discontent. After months of trying to keep the relationship afloat, Lara realized she was sinking in a sea of insecurities. The love that once felt like a safe harbor now felt like a place of anguish. She began to wonder if there was still anything worth saving, or if they were simply trapped in an endless cycle. Her attempts to rescue it became increasingly frustrating, like trying to grasp water with her hands. The situation reached a boiling point when a decisive event occurred. A trivial disagreement exploded into a surge of emotions. Words were spoken, wounds were opened, and what could have been an opportunity for reconciliation turned into a turning point. Lara, feeling exhausted, decided it was time to take a step back. Sometimes you have to let go of the ropes to allow yourself to breathe. Over time, both began to reflect on what had happened. They realized that behind the arguments and the silence, there was a love that hadn't truly ended. But the truth was that they had tried to save something that was already in ruins. They learned that sometimes letting go is the first step to finding yourself again. Love shouldn't be a constant struggle. It should be a safe and welcoming space. Wounds don't heal overnight, but Lara and Marcos discovered that the healing process is essential. They learned the importance of communicating their feelings before they turned into resentment. What seemed to be the end became a new beginning, not together, but as stronger and more aware individuals. In the end, what matters isn't just the love they tried to save, but the lessons that remain. The iceberg of frustrated salvation left scars, but it also sparked hope for a future where love is light and free, not a burden to carry. And so, as each of them embarked on their separate paths, the memory of what they lived became a deep learning experience. Over time, Lara and Marcos started to reassess themselves. The breakup, though painful, brought unexpected clarity. Both realized they needed, above all, to understand their own emotions and needs. This didn't mean that the love they had was in vain. On the contrary, it was a chapter that could be revisited with gratitude, but without the pressure of a future together. Lara decided to invest in herself. She started engaging in activities she had always wanted to try, but had set aside for the sake of the relationship. She enrolled in dance classes, an old dream that had always been pushed to the back burner. The movement made her feel alive again, and each step became a reminder of her strength and independence. Dance was not just a way to express herself, it was a path to rediscovering her essence. Marcos, on the other hand, dedicated himself to exploring his own passions. He had always enjoyed photography, but he had never had the time to dive deep into the hobby. Every image he captured was a return to the present, a reminder that life still had much to offer. He began to notice the beauty in small things, in everyday interactions and in landscapes that had gone unnoticed before. Both distanced themselves from the pain of their breakup and focused instead on personal growth. Lara started surrounding herself with supportive friends. Coffee sessions and heartfelt conversations became part of her routine. These interactions helped her process her emotions and realize that loneliness was not a sign of weakness, but rather an opportunity to connect more deeply with herself and others. Marcos also sought support from friends. He realized that during the relationship, he had isolated himself in his own world, distancing himself from people who truly cared. He started going out more, participating in gatherings and activities he had previously denied himself. These moments of socialization helped him rediscover himself, to understand that life went on, and there was much to be experienced. Time passed, and although they had grown apart romantically, the memories of what they had lived together did not fade away. They still crossed paths occasionally at social events, and as the months went by, their interactions became more pleasant. Brief conversations, smiles, and a mutual respect began to blossom, signaling that the pain of separation was diminishing. In one of those meetings, Lara and Marcos had an honest conversation. They talked about what they had learned from each other, about the weaknesses they had, and how each one had grown. Lara shared how dancing helped her find herself again, and Marcos spoke about the passion he rediscovered for photography. In that moment, they both realized that despite no longer being together, what existed between them was not just romantic love, but a deep respect for the journey each was on. This dialogue was transformative. They both understood that, although the relationship didn't work out, it didn't mean they couldn't support each other in other ways. The friendship that began to form was based on a more mature understanding, where love had transformed into admiration and respect. They became people who, even without being together, wished the best for one another. After some time, Lara and Marcos decided to meet for coffee, knowing that the weight of pain was no longer present. This new phase was light and full of possibilities. They talked about their lives, future plans, and dreams. There were no more resentments or past hurts. The focus was on personal growth and evolution. As they continued to meet, both realized that their friendship could strengthen. It wasn't a return to what had been, but rather the building of something new. They began to support each other in their goals, exchanging ideas and experiences, mutually helping each other achieve new milestones. Lara felt more confident in her dancing and started participating in performances. Marcos, for his part, began to showcase his photographs in small local galleries. Both were living their passions and at the same time allowing themselves to celebrate each other's achievements. This new dynamic brought a sense of lightness that they hadn't expected to find after a breakup. What could have been a tragic ending turned into a new beginning. They learned that love can take many forms, and sometimes the best way to honor a bond is to let it go. The story of Lara and Marcos is a powerful reminder that even in the toughest times, personal growth and self-exploration can lead to new opportunities and meaningful connections. In the end, what truly matters is the journey each one has taken. They realize that while hope may fail to save a love, it can always make room for something new and beautiful. What once seemed like a shipwreck became a crossing, leading them to new lands of self-discovery and friendship. As months went by, Lara and Marcos continued to meet and share their achievements. The friendship that blossomed between them was built on mutual understanding of the challenges they faced and the lessons they learned. They began to support each other in initiatives that had previously been impossible when they were in the relationship. Lara decided that she wanted to further explore her passion for dance. She participated in an intensive workshop that challenged her not only technically but also emotionally. During this time, she allowed herself to express repressed feelings through her choreography. Each movement became a form of liberation, and she found a new artistic voice that hadn't existed before. This led her to perform at a community event where she felt more alive than ever. Marcos, in turn, started working on a photography project that captured the essence of people in their daily lives. He ventured into different neighborhoods, talking to strangers and recording their stories. These interactions helped him better understand the human experience and the value of connections. Photography became not only a passion, but also a form of communication, allowing him to convey emotions and narratives through his images. The meetings between Lara and Marcos became more frequent as they both engaged in their new activities. They became accomplices in each other's achievements, celebrating every small step. Lara often invited Marcos to her dance performances, and he, always excited, became part of the audience who applauded her. Over time, Lara and Marcos began discussing deeper themes about life. They talked about their expectations, fears, and dreams. These conversations helped them get to know each other on a deeper level that wasn't possible during their romantic relationship. The vulnerability that once seemed frightening was now a safe space where they could both be authentic. During one of these conversations, Lara shared the difficulties she faced in dealing with insecurity after their breakup. She spoke about how dance helped her rebuild her self-esteem, allowing her to see herself differently. Marcos, listening attentively, acknowledged that he had his own struggles as well. He admitted that loneliness was a challenge, but photography helped him connect with the world in a way he never had before. These exchanges of experiences created an even stronger bond between them. They both realized that even without a romance, the connection they had was significant and valuable. Their friendship became a space for support and growth, where each felt encouraged to pursue their goals without fear of judgment. As the year went on, Lara and Marcos began planning a collaborative project. They decided to combine dance and photography in a performance that would tell a story about the search for identity and overcoming challenges. Lara would create a choreography that expressed her struggles and victories, while Marcos would use his photographic skills to document the process and create a video to accompany the performance. This project became a milestone in their lives. Working together brought out both of their creativity and solidified a friendship that was now based on respect and admiration. They spent hours rehearsing, discussing ideas, and refining the message they wanted to convey. The result was not just an artistic performance. It was a celebration of their individual journeys and the strength they found in each other. On the day of the performance, the theater was packed. Lara, who had been nervous before, now felt confident and empowered. When the lights went down and the music began, Lara danced like never before. Every movement was a release of emotions, a narrative about growth and resilience. She felt alive and connected, not just with the audience but with herself. He felt immense pride for his friend and the journey they had both traveled. As he captured every step, every smile, and every tear, he knew he was documenting something special, not just a performance but a new chapter in their lives. After the performance, the audience stood and applauded, and Lara, moved, accepted the praise with a genuine smile. Marcos knew he had done an exceptional job documenting the event and felt grateful to have been part of Lara's journey. They embraced, aware that they had created something beautiful together, a testament to their evolutions. This collaborative project not only strengthened their friendship, but also served as a reminder that love can take many forms. Lara and Marcos learned that even after a painful ending, it's possible to build something new and meaningful. They were ready to move forward, not just as former partners, but as friends who supported each other in their respective journeys. As each of them continued on their path, the friendship that blossomed between them transformed into a network of support. Lara became a source of inspiration for other women seeking to rediscover their passions, while Marcos began to receive invitations to showcase his work in larger galleries. What once seemed like a tragic ending turned into a new opportunity for life. They learned that personal growth is not just a solitary journey, but one that can also be shared and celebrated. Together, Lara and Marcos demonstrated that hope not only can transform into friendship, but can also open doors to a future filled with possibilities. And so, as they both continued to explore their passions and support one another, they discovered that life is made up of meaningful connections, which often arise from the most challenging moments. They were ready for whatever the future held, and regardless of what came next, they knew they would always have each other as friends. In this new chapter of their lives, Lara and Marcos began to explore opportunities that once seemed far away. Dance and photography were no longer just hobbies, they became forms of expression and self-discovery. Lara decided she wanted to share her journey with others, so she started teaching dance classes for beginners, creating a space where she could not only teach, but also inspire others to find their own voice. The classes became a success. Lara realized that by sharing her experiences and challenges, she was helping her students overcome their insecurities. She encouraged them to express themselves freely and not to fear judgment. For Lara, each student who felt more confident was a victory. The smiles and gratitude they received in return motivated them even more. Marcos, in turn, started getting involved in community photography projects. He organized free photo sessions for low-income families, capturing special moments that might otherwise be forgotten. The impact this had on the community was significant. People who received his photos felt valued and seen, something many didn't experience often. Marcos saw the joy on their faces and realized that his work went far beyond just taking pictures. He was creating memories that would last forever. Both were now actively engaged in their communities, feeling that their passions not only enriched their lives, but also made a difference in the lives of others. Lara and Marcos frequently met to discuss their experiences, exchanging ideas on how they could further impact the people around them. It was during one of these conversations that Lara had an idea. She suggested that they organize a community event that combined dance and photography. The idea immediately excited both of them, and they began planning the event. It would be a celebration of the community's voices. Lara envisioned choreographies that represented different life experiences, while Marcos offered to take portraits of each participant, documenting their stories. They wanted every dance and every photo to showcase the unique essence of each individual, contributing to a large mural that would be displayed after the performance. As the day of the event approached, the excitement grew. Lara and Marcos spent hours rehearsing and organizing details. They went out into the community, inviting people to participate, explaining their vision, and encouraging everyone to join in this celebration. The community's involvement was incredible. People of all ages expressed interest in participating. On the day of the event, the space was filled with energy. Lara started warming up as the participants prepared for their performances. The atmosphere was one of unity and mutual support. As soon as the lights dimmed and the music began to play, Lara felt a wave of emotion. She danced with all her heart, knowing she was not just performing, but representing the stories of everyone who had come together with her. Each movement was a tribute to the courage and faith those people had in themselves. Marcos, while photographing, felt like part of something bigger. His clicks were more than just images. They were testaments of overcoming challenges and hope. He knew he was capturing moments that would be remembered by everyone, and this brought him immense satisfaction. The event was a success, and at the end, the audience stood up, applauding enthusiastically. The mural, formed by the photos and the dance, became a collective work of art, reflecting the diversity and strength of the community. Lara and Marcos, exhausted yet glowing, embraced, knowing they had created something truly special. After the event, people began to approach them to express their gratitude. Many shared how the experience had impacted them, how they felt seen and heard. This connection with the community gave new meaning to what Lara and Marcos were doing. Both realized that by dedicating themselves to their passions, they were also helping others rediscover themselves. Over time, the event became an annual tradition. Lara and Marcos continued to work together, developing new choreographies and photography projects, always with the idea of including the community and their stories. The friendship between them grew even stronger, demonstrating that collaboration and mutual respect could produce extraordinary results. As Lara felt fulfilled in her career as a dance teacher, Marcos began receiving invitations for exhibitions at local galleries. One of his most impactful projects involved documenting a community of artists who were fighting for their rights. He captured their stories in powerful images, which were displayed in a renowned gallery. The recognition he received brought him newfound confidence, and he realized that he was indeed leaving a legacy. Both were entering a new phase, where the focus was on creation and collaboration. They learned the importance of supporting each other and celebrating each other's achievements. This network of friendship and support not only helped them become better professionals, but also transformed them into more aware and empathetic individuals. As Lara and Marcos continued to engage in projects, their personal and professional paths intertwined in ways they never imagined. What began as a lost love evolved into a solid friendship, rooted in respect, admiration, and a genuine desire to see each other thrive. They were ready to face future challenges, knowing that regardless of the difficulties, they would always have each other to lean on. What once seemed like an ending became a new opportunity for life, filled with possibilities. Lara and Marcos's journey is a reminder that, even in the toughest moments, hope and friendship can open doors to a bright and meaningful future. The months went by, and the friendship between Lara and Marcos continued to strengthen. Both were immersed in their passions, and the shared experiences brought them even closer. Lara, now working as a dance teacher, began to notice the impact she had on her students' lives. Each class became an opportunity to inspire and motivate those who, like her, were seeking a way to express themselves. Marcos dedicated himself to documenting the life stories of ordinary people in his community. He realized that each image he captured told a unique narrative. This motivated him to create a project called Portraits of Life, where he set out to interview and photograph people from different backgrounds. The idea was to showcase the diversity and strength of each story, highlighting the humanity that exists in everyone. The first portrait was of Donna Maria, a 70-year-old woman who had spent her entire life in a small neighborhood. During the interview, she shared stories about her challenges and victories. The passion she had for her family and the strength she demonstrated even in the face of adversity deeply moved Marcos. When he published the photo and story of Donna Maria, he received a warm response from the community. People felt connected and inspired by her story. Over time, the project gained prominence and caught the attention of a local newspaper. Marcos was invited to write a column about the stories he was documenting. This not only increased his visibility, but also brought about a renewed sense of purpose. He began to understand that his photography was not just a form of art, but a way to give voice to those who were often overlooked. Meanwhile, Lara also started to explore new opportunities. She decided to organize a series of dance workshops aimed at teenagers, focusing on building self-esteem and personal expression. The idea was to create a safe space where young people could feel comfortable expressing themselves through movement. The classes were vibrant and filled with energy, and the teenagers began to open up, sharing their own stories and experiences. Lara saw the transformation in her students. The young people, who often felt insecure, started to shine. The positive feedback she received was immense. Parents began commenting on how their children were more confident and happy. This made Lara realize that her work went beyond dance. She was helping to shape each of their lives. In one of those workshops, Lara met Anna, a young girl who stood out for her determination. Anna had faced difficulties at home, and by joining the dance classes, she found a way to channel her energy and emotions. Lara became a mentor to Anna, and they built a strong relationship based on trust and mutual support. Anna became one of the most dedicated students, and in no time she started to excel in performances. Marcos, for his part, continued to expand his Portraits of Life project. During one of his visits to a local school, he met a group of young artists who were struggling to have their voices heard. They performed at small events, but dreamed of one day performing on a bigger stage. This inspired Marcos to create a collaborative art event that combined dance and photography, giving the youth a chance to perform and tell their stories. The idea for the event excited both Lara and Marcos. They decided to work together again, combining their skills to give the young people an opportunity to shine. Lara created choreographies that reflected the stories of each artist, while Marcos captured the rehearsals and moments of preparation. The project not only provided a platform for the youth, but also strengthened the friendship between them. As the day of the event drew closer, excitement in the community grew. Lara and Marcos dedicated themselves to promoting the event, inviting family, friends, and community members. The venue was decorated with photos of the young artists and rehearsed choreographies. The atmosphere was one of celebration and togetherness. On the day of the event, the theater was packed, the lights dimmed, and the music began to play. Each performance was an authentic expression of the struggles and triumphs of the young artists. The dances were filled with emotion and authenticity, and the audience watched with enthusiasm. Marcos, while photographing, felt deeply connected to what was happening. It was a moment of transformation, not just for the young artists, but for everyone present. After the performances, Lara and Marcos took the stage to thank everyone. Lara spoke about the importance of artistic expression and how everyone had a story to tell. Marcos, in turn, shared how photography had the power to capture the essence of people and their experiences. The event was a success, and the community's reactions were overwhelming. The stories shared there became a legacy, and the young artists felt valued and recognized. Lara and Marcos realized that, by working together, they had created something much larger than they could have ever imagined. Their friendship became a source of strength and inspiration, and both were excited about the possibilities of the future. Over time, the impact of the event led Lara and Marcos to think of new initiatives. They decided to create a continuous support program for young artists, where they could offer regular classes and workshops. The goal was to cultivate creativity and self-expression, helping to build a united and supportive community. Their journey, which began with a painful ending, was now a testament to resilience and collaboration. They learned that friendship can blossom from the most difficult experiences, and that human connection is a powerful force. As Lara and Marcos continued to explore their passions and support each other, they were ready to face new challenges and create a lasting impact in their communities. They discovered that every step toward the future was an opportunity for growth, both personally and collectively. And so, with open hearts and creative minds, Lara and Marcos moved forward, ready to embrace what was to come. The program to support young artists began to take shape. Lara and Marcos met with other professionals in the field to discuss how they could structure the classes and workshops. They wanted to ensure that the project was accessible to everyone, especially those who could not afford to participate in artistic activities. To make this possible, they decided to seek partnerships with local schools and community organizations. Lara reached out to some institutions that were already working with young people in vulnerable situations. The response was positive, and soon the project began to attract the attention of sponsors interested in supporting the initiative. Marcos, for his part, used his photography skills to create impactful promotional material. He captured images of young artists in action, showcasing their expressions and the passion they dedicated to each rehearsal. These photos were essential for the fundraising campaign they launched. With the community's support, the program was officially launched at an event open to the public. Lara organized a dance performance where the young artists could showcase their talents, while Marcos photographed each moment. The event was a success and attracted a large audience who were captivated by the talent of the young performers. After the presentation, Lara and Marcos shared the goals of the program. They discussed the importance of giving voice to young people and how art can be a powerful tool for self-expression and self-esteem. The enthusiasm of the audience was palpable, and many expressed interest in getting involved, whether as participants or collaborators. Among the visitors was a group of public school teachers. They showed excitement about the proposal and suggested including art classes in extracurricular activities. This collaboration was an important step in expanding the program's reach and allowing more young people to access these opportunities. With the support of the teachers, Lara and Marcos started visiting schools to present the project and invite students to participate. The responses were positive, and soon the number of interested individuals grew. They also decided to add a section to the program aimed at parents and guardians, where they could learn about the importance of art in education and the emotional development of young people. The first cohort of the program was formed, and classes began. Lara was responsible for dance classes, while Marcos took charge of photography. Both noticed that working with the youth provided enriching exchanges of experiences. The students brought their own stories and challenges, which helped create a trusting environment. In class, Lara encouraged the young people to express themselves freely, without fear of judgment. She realized that many of them carried insecurities that prevented them from opening up. Lara started to implement exercises that promoted confidence and acceptance, creating a safe space where everyone could share their emotions. She talked about how each image could tell a story and encouraged the young people to capture their own narratives. The students were excited about the classes, and the first photographs started to emerge, reflecting their experiences and perspectives. As the weeks went by, the young people began to transform. Those who were once shy started to stand out, both in dance classes and in photography sessions. One student, Lucas, who initially had difficulty expressing himself, found in dance a form of liberation. With each step, he became more confident and connected with his peers. Lara and Marcos observed how art impacted the lives of these young people. The classes weren't just a way to learn, they were an opportunity for personal growth. The interactions among the students became more genuine, and the group united around a common goal: the final presentation, where they could showcase what they had learned. Throughout the program, Lara and Marcos decided to organize an event to celebrate the students' achievements. The event would be a showcase of the skills acquired, where each young person could perform and share the stories behind their creations. This idea generated a buzz among the students, who started to prepare enthusiastically. As the day of the presentation approached, the energy in the studio was contagious. Lara worked with the students on the choreography, adjusting movements and creating a narrative that reflected their experiences. Marcos, in turn, dedicated himself to capturing the rehearsals, documenting every step of the process. The night before the event, Lara and Marcos gathered to discuss the final details. They were nervous but also excited about what was to come. The anticipation was high, and both knew that this event would mark not only the end of a chapter, but also the beginning of something greater for the young artists. On the big day, the auditorium was packed. Friends, family, and community members came to support the young people. The presentation began with an energetic dance that blended styles and incorporated the stories of each student. The audience was captivated, and applause echoed with every movement. After the dance, Marcos showcased a video he had put together, featuring clips of the students during rehearsals and interviews where they shared their stories. The reactions were emotional, and many in the audience felt touched by the experiences of the young artists. When the presentation came to an end, the auditorium erupted in applause. Lara and Marcos took to the stage to thank everyone for their presence and support throughout the program. They emphasized the importance of art in everyone's life and how this experience had transformed not just the students, but themselves as well. The event was a resounding success, and the community rallied around the young artists. Lara and Marcos realized they had created something truly special, an opportunity for the youth to express themselves and connect with their roots. From that moment on, the program took on a life of its own. The friendship between Lara and Marcos strengthened even further, and they continued to work together on new projects, always looking for ways to positively impact the lives of young people. What started as a painful ending transformed into a journey of growth, friendship, and collaboration, proving that life is full of surprises and that there is always room for love and art. Following the success of the event, Lara and Marcos felt more motivated than ever to expand the program. They decided that, in addition to the regular classes, they would hold monthly meetings where the youth could discuss their experiences and challenges, sharing their stories and strengthening the bonds formed during the course. These meetings were informal but incredibly impactful. During these meetings, the students would sit in a circle and talk about their journeys. Some shared their insecurities, while others spoke about their achievements. Lara and Marcos were always present, listening attentively, offering support and encouragement. As time went on, the young people began to open up more. One of the students, Felipe, who had previously been quite reserved, started to share his life experiences. He talked about how dance and photography helped him express himself and cope with anxiety. This exchange of experiences created an atmosphere of empathy and understanding, where everyone felt valued and respected. Lara and Marcos realized that these gatherings not only helped the students connect, but also strengthened the community. Through the shared stories, the young people became closer and developed a sense of belonging. They began to support each other, not just in class, but also in their personal lives. To maintain motivation and engagement, Lara suggested they organize a community art exhibition. The idea was for each young person to present a piece of dance, a photograph, or a combination of both, reflecting their experiences and learning. Marcos was excited about the proposal and started planning how to document each presentation so it could be displayed alongside the artworks. The planning of the exhibition took over Lara and Marcos's lives. They met with the students to discuss what each one would like to present. Ideas began to flow. One student, Renata, decided she wanted to create a choreography that represented her personal struggles. Another student, Gabriel, wanted to capture the essence of the group in a series of portraits. The following weeks were intense. The students rehearsed their dances and produced their photographs with dedication. Lara was impressed with each of their growth. What were once insecure young people had now become confident artists, ready to showcase their voices. Marcos, for his part, dedicated hours to documenting the creative process. He filmed rehearsals, captured moments of laughter and frustration, and chronicled the evolution of each performance. His goal was to create a video that not only highlighted the final results, but also the hard work and determination invested along the way. Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived. The chosen venue was decorated with the students' artwork, and the atmosphere was filled with anticipation. Friends, family, and community members began to arrive. Lara and Marcos felt emotional seeing the room filled, all there to support the young artists. The presentation was a success. Each young person shone in their performance, and the audience cheered for every dance and photograph presented. The stories told were powerful and moving, touching many in the audience. In the end, Lara and Marcos took the stage to thank everyone for their presence and support throughout the project. They acknowledged the hard work and effort of the students, emphasizing that the true victory lay in the courage to express themselves and the strength they found in one another. The event not only celebrated artistic achievements, but also reinforced the idea that art can unite people and create meaningful bonds. After the exhibition, Lara and Marcos realized that the program had become a vital part of their lives. They were more committed than ever to continue providing a safe space for young people to express themselves. Their friendship grew even stronger, evolving into a solid partnership rooted in mutual respect and a desire to make a difference. With the program's success came new opportunities. Lara and Marcos began receiving invitations to present their work at conferences and workshops on the importance of art in education and personal development. They were excited to share their experiences and inspire others to create similar initiatives in their communities. The young artists also started to stand out beyond the program. Some of them received invitations to perform at local festivals, while others were recognized in art competitions. These achievements brought a renewed sense of hope and motivation, not only for the students, but also for Lara and Marcos, who saw the positive impact they were making. The program evolved to become a reference point in the community, and Lara and Marcos were determined to further expand their initiative. They started planning new classes and activities, always with the goal of providing opportunities for more young people seeking a space to express themselves. What began as an experience of overcoming challenges transformed into a movement of art and self-expression, demonstrating that even in the face of difficulties, it is possible to thrive and inspire others. Before you leave, do two things right now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.